So I thought doing a few little videos on certain code sections would help out for a lot of you out there. So right now, the first one we're going to do is chapter 9, venting, section 909, which is island vents. I drew this up. This is this is a screenshot from the actual video intro. And it's actually pretty simple once you realize why we're doing what we're doing. If you take a look, and let's see, let's shrink this up just a little bit here. And let's move this there. Oh, okay. I have this set up. Oh, you know what? First things first, let's go ahead and talk about the code section itself. So here's the actual code section. Section 909, special venting for island fixtures. Traps for island sinks and similar equipment shall be roughed in above the floor and shall be permitted to be vented by extending the vent as high as possible, but not less than the drain board height, and then returning it downward and connecting it to the horizontal sink drain immediately downstream from the vertical fixture drain. The return vent shall be connected to the horizontal drain through a Y branch fitting and shall, in addition, be provided with a foot vent taken off the vertical fixture vent by means of a Y branch immediately below the floor and extending to the nearest partition and then through the roof to the open air, or shall be permitted to be connected to other vents at a point not less than 6 inches above flood level rim of the fixtures being served. The drainage fittings shall be used on the vent below the floor level, and a slope of not less than 1/4 of an inch per foot back to the drain shall be maintained. The return bend used under the drain board shall be a one-piece fitting or an assembly of a 45 degree, a 90 degree, and a 45 degree elbow in the order named. The pipe sizing shall be sized as elsewhere required in the code, which is chapter 7. The island sink drain upstream of the return vent shall serve no other fixtures, and an accessible cleanout shall be installed in the vertical position of the vertical portion of the foot vent. So all of that, it can be kind of confusing just in reading it. So usually a lot of the visual aspects of it really help in understanding what this is doing. And that is going to be what we're going to do right now. Okay, so they had, and we'll do this in red because it's much easier to see. So here you have a countertop. It's sitting right over here. Well, no, too far. We have a countertop, right? Okay, and let's drop it down like this. And here we have, the drain that comes up, feeds the sink basin, which comes over here like this, right? Okay. So what they're asking you to do for the vent portion, because all of this right here is easy to determine because that's your drain, right? So that's all drain, pretty easy. But what we have to look at for the island vent, because this is chapter 9, is the vent portion, which is this. All of this is considered venting. Okay. Also, a little aside, it's still considered drain pipe. All of this is still considered drain pipe because technically it's still below the flood level rim, right? So we're still below the flood level rim. We have to, because of that, use drainage fittings. Erase this real quick because we're going to be using that section in a sec here. Okay. When I said all of this is still technically considered drain piping, it's because there's the possibility that this can back up. So you could have a sewage backup. Let's say you have a clog that's right down here, right? So let's say you got a clog down there. Well, this is going to fill up with waste. So all of this drain liquids and whatever's going down your sink, it's going to back up, and it'll back up into the basin of your sink and everything else. But it'll also come up this pipe. And as it comes up the pipe, it hits this apex right here and starts to drain down. So now this isn't acting as a vent pipe so much as it's acting as a drain line as well. So then, you know, it goes through. If you have a hard blockage here, then everything backs up, okay, including everything out this way. And all of this is going to block until you get up to this flood level rim right here. And then that's where all the waste starts bubbling up over the sink and over the, you know, drips all over the place, right? So what they want you to do, best case scenario, because you can't vent this thing anywhere else, the sink is sitting in the middle of your kitchen and there's no wall, right? So you vent your pipe all the way up to the top. You can still maintain flow. You can still maintain your vent flow through because of, oh, cool, right on. It works, it shows up. So you can still maintain your vent flow in the airflow as it's going out, okay? If there is ever a blockage, they said you have to have a clean out on the foot vent side, and that's this guy right here. So this clean out is required, okay? And that has to go on the foot vent, and the foot vent is all of this right here, right? Ha, made it look like a foot. So that's your foot vent. The whole purpose is to ensure that you have a vent going up into a wall, and once you get past the flood level rim and go up above it 6 inches, you can tie it into any vent you want. This ensures proper flow. You still have your air movement required for your proper drainage and your vent opening here on the santee so that this continues to drain the way it should. Now, some people say we need to put a clean out here, right? But that is not required by code. And what good would this clean out do right there? That's only going to serve if you have a blockage like right here. It's not going to serve any other purpose. Your clean out here underneath your kitchen sink, which is right there, that's always definitely. It's not required if it's like above the second floor or above the first floor of your drainage line, but coming from new construction, I wouldn't put that in because it wasn't required by code. Since getting out of new construction and the commercial end of things and having to work on the service side, I really do. I'm a huge proponent of putting clean outs in wherever possible. So under every kitchen sink, regardless of whatever floor you're on, you should put the clean out. And then, like I said, you have to, for all island vents, put your clean out right there, okay? Let's see if there's anything else that needs to be discussed on island venting and why it is done the way that it is done. Let's cross this off, get rid of this. We talked about, might as well just keep going here. We talked about the drain line and the fact that the vent portion is still considered drain because it's below the flood level rim, which means this part right here, well, let's change it to red. This part right here has to have slope going down at 2% or 1/4 of an inch per foot, okay? Because it has to be treated like a drain line. If it ever does block it, you know, get blocked up and you have to run a clean out, everything has to drain down the way that it's supposed to as a drain line. This part right here, this fitting, they say it has to be a Y branch type of fitting. Well, a combination fitting, which is the one that I drew here, that is a Y and an 1/8 bend, right? It's a combi Y and 1/8 bend, right? And same thing here, because it's a drain line, you never put a santee on its back, so that's also a combi. This is a short sweep minimum. Okay, you can't use a 1/4 bend right there. Cannot use a 1/4 bend. The 1/4 bend is a no-no. No 1/4 bend, short sweep. Okay, you got to treat it like it's a drain line. This right here would be a minimum short sweep. Right? Because it's a drain line. The radian here was 0.79, I believe, and this one is 1.58, I think, for a short sweep or a long turn 90, and this is also 0.79. The radian, that's the radian. So that's the turn of the radius turn. In other words, you're looking at a 45 degree, and this is also a 90 degree, okay? Now let's see, what else do we need to talk about when it comes to island vents? Can't think of anything else. Let's erase all this. You know, using this whiteboard app on my laptop to do this kind of stuff is pretty cool, because I can take an image like the island vent drawing here and I can draw all over it. So quick recap, all your waste goes this way and down like it would normally, right? And goes this way. All your venting goes up as high as it can go, back down, and then over, and up the wall, the nearest wall, and out. You have to have clean out on the foot vent. You have to have drainage fittings, and this has to be a 45, 90, 45. And that's it. That's an island vent. Any questions, you guys can always go ahead and refer to the YouTube and just, you know, make a comment, ask me a question. I'll be more than happy to answer you as best I can. That's it. I will see you on the next one. Oh, classes are done for me for the summer. So I'm going to try to do some of these like once a week, and hopefully they help out. That's it. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a lovely, lovely day. Until next time.